You live? You live? Oh. Good morning. Thank you all for coming. My name is Clay Fowler. I'm the chair of the board of the Maritime Aquarium. And I'm going to go off script because it was so exciting walking in here just now and seeing all the kids and their parents coming on to the aquarium again. And we've been busy as heck for the last several weeks. When it's seasonally important for us, and the most important, of course, thing is we're open. So I want to welcome you all to the Maritime Aquarium to recognize and thank our special guests here for coming. Senator Richard Blumenthal, who I see all the time. I'm so happy to see you. You've been doing a great job for us for so many years, so thank you. And Catherine Marks, Connecticut District Director of the Small Business Administration, and of course, my best friend, sometimes the mayor, Harry Riley. I hope you're enjoying this gorgeous backdrop, Pinniped Cove, a new seal habitat that opened last month and became the largest exhibit in the aquarium's 33-year history. That's a whole nother story which we've announced a number of times, so I'm not going to redo that. But we're so pleased to be able to offer this to our public. We've been busy, as I said, and thanks to the initiatives here in Connecticut under Governor Lamont, COVID cases are down, our residents feel safe, and are being encouraged to venture out. It easily could have been something else here at the aquarium. We are here today, busy, and you've seen how busy we are, fulfilling our mission today, and in great part thanks to Senator Blumenthal and the emergency support of federal agencies like the Small Business Administration. And of course, you probably know most venues like this that depend on gate, i.e. public, and we depended on it for 85% of our annual operating revenues, were closed. We closed totally. When COVID started sweeping the country, we made the considered science-based decision to close our doors. In fact, we were one of the first aquariums in the country to do so. Very, very bold of us, and it turned out to be the right decision, although an exceptionally painful one. We thought it was going to be a 2-week shutdown, and it turned out to be 3.5 months at the peak of our busiest season. The extended closure reduced our anticipated revenues by more than $3 million, or about 35% of our operating budget. The closing of any destination is hard, but ours was most painful because we couldn't really close. Our staff were furloughed, budgets were reduced, exhibits sat quiet, but animals were here, 7,000 of them, and they needed to be tended 24/7. So we couldn't let everyone go. So we endured the cost of keeping a large amount of our staff open with no income to support them. We reopened in June of 2020, of course. 2020? Wow, it's already been a year? That's amazing. But we stayed below the state and the CDC guidelines so that 50% of our capacity was our limit, and that we stayed there for 9 months. We loosened in March recently, but continued to maintain capacities well below 100% until mid-May. These reduced capacities continue to deepen our crisis. But many folks and forces came to our rescue. First, we had generous gifts from our trustees and donors, and a valued partnership with a local bank, Fairfield County Bank. We owe, however, our additional survival to our support from the federal government and its swift and efficient emergency implementations. The aquarium benefited from 2 forgivable loans under the Paycheck Protection Program, and thanks to a later amendment to the American Rescue Plan Act, we are also able to apply for and will receive monies through the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant program. SVOG, which is what we're here to talk about today. While the PPP funds help meet our payroll expenses, the Shuttered Venue funds will be very critical in helping us meet operating expenses, freeing up funds to pay off debt taken on during the crisis, and allowing us to return to sound financial footing and look to the future. I think this got turned off. Did it get off? I don't think I really need it. Maybe. Yeah, is that on? No, it's not. We're incredibly grateful to you, Senator Blumenthal, and all of our congressional representatives, as well as leaders like you, Catherine, in our federal agencies, for creating and managing the financial vehicles that have kept our communities afloat. And thank you, more importantly, to the Maritime Aquarium and its staff, Dave, and the mayor for this continued city support. And we are positioned to again devote our focus fully to our inspiring new stewards of Long Island Sound and the ocean beyond through our dynamic living exhibits, essential marine science, and hands-on environmental education for years and years to come. Thank you. Senator Blumenthal, thanks much. I don't think it's there.
Yeah, I don't know that I need it.
I don't think you need it.
Unless it's being sent throughout the Maritime Aquarium, which I hope it is not. I want to join in some of the thank yous. First of all, to begin where Clay ended, to the Maritime, to everybody involved in this wonderful institution. Dave, I know that you've been here for a while, but the Maritime Center has a place in our hearts. Catherine, I know you have been here with your children. This is a place that creates memories, and the memories last, but it also interests young people, kids, in the exploration and discovery. The grace and beauty of these animals is just beyond my words. And I am just immensely grateful to all of the staff and the board. Clay, thank you so much for your service. Clay Fowler is literally all around the state of Connecticut, in Hartford and Norwalk and so many places, not only building, but also supporting great activities like this one. You know, the Maritime Center is a force multiplier. It not only drives the dreams and aspirations of young people, but it drives also business downtown. It brings countless people to downtown Norwalk and to this region. It is a destination for New England and for the nation. People love maritime centers. They love aquariums. They love the sense of wonder and discovery. And so they come here not only for an afternoon, but for a meal, to go shopping. It's an economic force multiplier, and it is an educational institution beyond compare, because truly it is real life to be seen and touched, literally touched and observed. So the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant program was designed exactly for the needs of this institution. Exactly these kinds of needs were the purpose of the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant program. Originally it was called Save Our Stages, but it was broadened to include not just the theaters, the performing arts, but also museums and zoos, because they had the kind of expenses that were pressing and unavoidable. And here is maybe the most important fact about this great place, and Clay mentioned it. 7,000 marine animals. 7,000 marine animals had to be fed, cared for, sustained, no matter what the pandemic or the economic downturn. Those 7,000 marine animals were the responsibility of this institution, and it had to go into debt to make sure that this place continued to be their home. It wasn't just a warehousing operation. This place is a home to those 7,000 marine animals. And so anybody who cares about wildlife and marine life should care about this kind of great institution that not only exhibits them, but also cares for them in a very special way. And I've talked to staff over the many years that I've come here, and I know their devotion to science, to marine life. And I'll just finish on this note. What better place for the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant program to go during a pandemic than a place revering and spreading science and scientific knowledge, because that is ultimately what got us through this pandemic and what will get us through future challenges to public health. So this program was designed for exactly this kind of venue, and I'm so glad that this $3.2 million will come here. It will be a sustaining force. It will enable this great place to entertain countless young people whose voices we hear right now. This is $3.2 million well spent, an investment in the future of a science-oriented educational institution that also is a force multiplier economically. And with that, I'll turn it over to someone who has led the SVA during this very difficult period, Catherine Marks. The SVA deserves a lot of credit for the great work that it has done. And then, Harry, if you don't mind going after Catherine, but Harry Rilling's been a great supporter of this institution and a great leader during this pandemic. Catherine, thanks for all your great work.
Thank you. See this mic again for a second.
Thank you, and thank you, Senator Blumenthal. And it's wonderful to be here. I can't imagine closing and having 7,000 mouths to feed. That was a responsibility, and I'm so glad that we're here to celebrate your award. And Senator Blumenthal and I have been to numerous, and will continue, luckily, to go to numerous Connecticut entities that have received the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant Award. It was at one time Save the Stages, but it did expand, luckily, to include museums and aquariums, and we're so happy to be here to celebrate today. It's always Shark Week at the Maritime Aquarium. So what I'd like to say is, if we've had many programs and you took advantage of our Paycheck Protection Program, our PPP program, and now you've taken advantage of the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant Program. The Operator Grant Program is still open. So we're very happy about that. So if there's anyone that's listening, or if you know of any event, meaning a live performance event, museums, theater promoters, that grant is still open, so we're very happy. By the end of today, the SBA will be announcing that over 100 entities in Connecticut will be receiving the Shuttered Venues Operator Grant. So the five ladies behind me are absolutely mesmerizing, just absolutely mesmerizing. So this is not a place just for kids, but boy, it is so wonderful to hear those kids out there. Governor Lamont did open up and has a free program, so I hope that everyone takes advantage of it, comes to see this wonderful, I agree with Senator Blumenthal, a New England attraction, and we get out and start living the normal lives. COVID is hopefully in our rearview mirror, but you went through some very difficult times. You made some very serious, well thought out decisions. I'm so glad that you're going to be able to use this grant to pay off your debt and become stronger, and the future is bright before us. So thank you very much. Mayor?
Thank you very much. I'm just going to be very brief. Year and a half, 2 years ago, we never expected this. We didn't bargain for it. We had no idea what was coming. But through people like Clay, the Board of Trustees, the federal government, the Small Business Association, we made it through because of perseverance, resilience, and dedication and commitment. And we are so pleased, because if it wasn't for all these people putting all their efforts together, we may very well be looking at an empty building here. But we didn't allow that to happen. And not only that, Clay didn't mention it, but they're also facing the walk bridge. I mean, this is like a double whammy. But again, the strength of the board, the strength of the staff, the commitment of the federal government, the commitment of the state government and local government, we'll get through this too. And I know this has to be a marketing tool when you put us on camera with the seals behind us. Anybody looking at this will have to come down and take a look. Well done, so thank you. Oh, just one thing, Senator Blumenthal, it's always great to have him here. He works so hard, as Clay mentioned, for so many people over the years. He is a voice, a strong voice in Connecticut, a strong voice in Washington, D.C., for people who don't always have a voice. And he works hard for every person in the state of Connecticut and in the country. So again, thank you, Senator Blumenthal, for your hard work. Thank you.
You're not talking. Unless the ladies would like to speak. They are mesmerizing.
They're speaking by their own way.
They're doing it by actions, yes. I think just being here and hearing the squeals of laughter and joy out there and seeing the ladies behind us, we don't need to say anything more. We're open, we're here because of help from lots and lots of forces, and we think that we're fortified for the next challenge to come, which is indeed the walk bridge. And thank you all for coming, and thank you all for the help. It's amazing how the federal government, state governments really reacted quickly to this crisis, and we're here because of that. Thank you all.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Senator, did you say 3.2 million
Correct.
is coming
Yes.
to the,
Yeah.
okay, and then I know you had mentioned these funds, this grant is gonna go to more than 100 entities in the state. Does every entity just get a different amount based on the need that you determine?
They vary widely, from $10,000, 5,000 to 3.2 million for the aquarium, the Norwalk Aquarium, to they're a larger amount. I'll let Catherine talk about it. But the whole point of this program that we fashioned in the Congress was to accommodate the specific needs of each individual program. And we delegated the Small Business Administration the task of dividing the money based on the individual needs of the institution.
Do you know how much money statewide then you're gonna be getting from this?
Right, so Senator Blumenthal is right. So this is called the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant, and it was built from the ground up by the SBA according to the legislation that was passed. There were 3 priorities of funding, and they were based on need. So many entities, as the first one Senator Blumenthal and I went to, which was Toad's Place, had a 90% decrease in operating revenue 2019 to 2020. So that's how they were, that's how the priority was awarded. We've now gone through all three priorities, priority 1, 2, and 3, and we are funding all awards. The smallest one is right around $5,000, and the largest one in Connecticut currently, based on the information that is public, is $8 million. So it is based on the operating losses, and as the Maritime Aquarium, I'm sure, can attest to, the Shuttered Venues Operator Grant was a competitive federal grant process. So there was a lot of documentation that needed to be uploaded and certified. So this is taxpayer money, and it was a competitive grant process, and it was all based on the need of the organization. Every week around Monday at 4 or 5 o'clock, we do publish the total dollar amount, and in Connecticut that continues to increase, and I'll have a final amount by the end of the day, but it will be well over 100 entities will have received the Shuttered Venues Operator Grant, and we are still going through the applications to date.
Since you're still going through some other entities could still be awarded, at least for here particularly, when would the aquarium start actually getting these funds?
The aquarium has received a notice of award, and they're going through the process to receive the grants. They would have to say exactly when it hits the bank account, but if they fill their documents out properly, it is a rather quick process to go from notice of award to receiving the grant.
It's not, there's no time lag between, it's meant to be immediate. But let me just make, emphasize a point that Catherine made earlier. There's money remaining in this program. The amount that we allocated in the Congress was $16 billion. There were about 14,000 applications for about 11 billion. So you can do the math. There's still $5 billion that museums, theaters, movie houses, zoos, they can still apply. And we encourage people, it is competitive, but we encourage people to make an application.
So 15 billion for nationwide? Or
The nation.
Yeah. Okay.
And we don't have a final figure for you on how much in total is coming to Connecticut, but by the end of the day, the SBA will have released that number.
You mentioned Toad's Place had a 90% decrease in revenue. Do you know what the amount was for the aquarium here? How much you guys lost or went down?
Yeah.
Dave.
I don't remember the total number, so I don't want to speak out of turn. Joe, what was the loss? What was the total loss from being shut down? It was 3 million from being shut down, but then there were, we were attendance-wise seeing about 80% of our norms, and sometimes lower, sometimes 50% when we first started. So based on
Loss, 80% loss.
Yeah.
Can you remind our viewers what the governor's plan is for the museums and stuff like that? The free program that's going on?
Well, there's a free admission.
For
Is that what you mean?
yes, please.
Yeah, the name of the program is Connecticut Summer at the Museum. Connecticut Summer at the Museum, which is free admission during this period for kids. It's a great program. It will draw first-timers to the Norwalk Aquarium and many other similar institutions around the state, and it's wonderful exposure for them. It's a great learning experience for the kids, and they're going to be coming to see these folks in back of us, and I'm sure they'll be as mesmerized as we have been.
How does that work? The children get in free and then the parents?
I think it's
only the
children get
parent
in
pays,
free,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
It's children 18 and, I'm not from the state, I mean, I don't represent the state of Connecticut, but what I do know of the program is it's children 18 and under accompanied by one parent.
So if you have multiple children, they get in free, is that how that works? Oh, awesome.
The SVOG, that's separate from the American Rescue Funds.
I just wanted to.
The SVOG grant is separate from the American
It is
Rescue Plan.
part of
Or it is part of.
the American Rescue Program includes the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant program. It also includes the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. SVOG is one part of the American Rescue Program.
But some of these folks that are getting the SVOG funds, they might be getting other funds too from a different part of the American Rescue Plan, or no?
Not directly, no. I mean,
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in some instances, it's conceivable that a restaurant operating in a museum could get the Restaurant Revitalization Fund separately, but it would have to be a separate entity, separate restaurant entity.
So we could say, it's fair to say this grant is part of the American Rescue.
Exactly.
Are you able to name some of the other organizations that are getting some of the, like, in our coverage area?
Do you want to name some of the others that we know of?
Sure.
We were just at the Cabaret.
Yeah. It's the cabaret.
Yeah, I can give
you would
I
have
can give
better
you the
memory.
whole list. But you know, some of the bigger ones in the state of Connecticut so far, obviously, are the Bushnell, the Palace Theater in Stamford, the Cabaret that we were just at, the Cabaret in Bridgeport, Stepping Stones. In where we have, I mean, it's a very extensive list.